Hello, my name is Tara Gannon. I'm a project officer at Western and Central Melbourne Integrated Cancer Service. We are one of 9 cancer improvement networks across the state of Victoria, and we are funded by the Victorian Government. Today, I'll be talking about my project, the e-Supportive Care Screening Tool Pilot, meeting the needs of radiotherapy patients. As background to this project, supportive care remains an ongoing priority in the Victorian Cancer Plan 2020 to 2024, and WCMICS is tasked with reinvigorating local supportive care implementation strategies. So following a submission from a radiotherapy department within one of our partner health services, we harness this interest to reinvigorate our approach towards achieving the Victorian Department of Health's supportive care screening target of 80% of people with cancer. And the aim of this project was to enhance the experience of people with cancer by providing equitable access and a systematic approach to cancer supportive care screening using a validated tool. A targeted approach was adopted to meet the unique needs of radiotherapy patients, coupled with a culturally diverse catchment within a metropolitan Melbourne health service. The supportive care screening tool used was the internationally recognised and validated National Comprehensive Cancer Network's distress thermometer and problem list, which was then tailored to meet the unique needs of radiotherapy patients. Traditionally, the NCCN tool has been utilised at health services using a paper-based form. So I investigated a suitable electronic solution to transform the tool into an electronic format, given the increasing transition of health services to electronic medical records. So consultation was undertaken to identify a platform which enabled safe storage of an online patient-facing tool, which contained patient-identifiable and sensitive information, and upload it to electronic medical records software, which would enable all clinicians to be able to access it in the medical history. So as such, the REDCap database was identified as an existing IT platform, which was actually already used in the health service. From here, I built the custom-made REDCap tool for 6 different languages with the distress thermometer and 29 problem list items with infographics. This equated to a total of 419 REDCap tools which needed to be created. Health literacy and languages other than English were identified as a specific consideration also. Accredited translations of the tool were undertaken in the top 5 languages for the Metro West region of Melbourne, other than English. So these were Vietnamese, Greek, Macedonian, Italian, and Croatian. An additional feature of the electronic supportive care screening tool is visual representation of each problem list item using custom-made infographics to assist patient and carer understanding. So before the pilot occurred, the infographics underwent a co-design process with both consumers and clinicians. The infographics shown on this slide from the top left represent dry or itchy skin. The top middle is difficulty sleeping, fatigue, or feeling weak. Top right is, of course, hair loss. Bottom left is looking after family or relationships with family members. And the bottom right are the emotional concerns. So feeling sad, flat, depressed, worry, anxious, anger, or frustration. So from here, the electronic supportive care screening tool was piloted in a metropolitan Melbourne radiotherapy department on a portable mobile device. So when the patient attended day 2 of radiotherapy, this was determined as the most suitable time point to undertake supportive care screening with the radiotherapy nursing staff, as this coincided with the initial education session, which was already scheduled. The second step is that once the results are submitted, it's automatically emailed to the health service as a PDF attachment. And the third step is this enables the nurse who is now in the consult with the patient to review and discuss the results during that initial consultation to enable prompt supportive care actions and a systematic approach for all patients, regardless of their tumour type. I'm now going to take you through a step-by-step of the actual electronic supportive care screening tool in the Vietnamese version. So as you can see on this first slide, the first step is, of course, to select the preferred language, which in this case is Vietnamese. In the next slide, this is where the patient identifiable information is collected. So for instance, given name, family name, date of birth, their gender, and also UR number if it is known. So this helps when the results are then sent via email later for the patient to then be able to match with the patient in front of them. The next step is, of course, the distress thermometer, which you'll see has that scale from 0 to 10, allowing the patient to simply select the number that most corresponds with how they've been feeling in the last week. The next section then moves on to each of the problem list items. So you can see the translated text in bold on this slide. And for each patient to then go through each of the 29 problem list items. In this example, you can see is domestic tasks. And of course, the answers yes or no are translated for the patient to easily be able to respond in their preferred language, alongside the domestic tasks infographic, which is seen below. So the patient would click through each of these problem list items until they got to this final screen here. This feature at the end where a patient is able to manually rank their top 3 problems and also to help the nursing staff to prioritise which issues may need to be most importantly or urgently discussed on that particular day. It also has an open text field. So for instance, if something isn't already covered that a patient feels like they would like to share with the nurse on that occasion, they can also fill in that text. And then a concluding comment there is of course encouraging the patient to speak to their doctor or nurse and also making them aware of the Cancer Council 13 11 20 phone number and the supportive care website wecan.org.au. And the bottom right is where the patient's able to hit submit, and this is what triggers that automatic notification where the results are emailed to the health service. The pilot evaluation involved utility testing of the electronic supportive care screening tool. Positively, 100% of patients rated the tool as simple to follow and easy to use. 95% of patients acknowledged it was important to discuss their concerns during treatment, and 83% of screening results were documented as being discussed with patients. The pilot also evaluated the supportive care actions which occurred following the supportive care screening. This was reported by patients in a survey 2 weeks after their initial consult. So positively, majority remembered filling out the e-supportive care screening tool and recalled having their answers discussed on most occasions by a nurse. The most common supportive care action reported by patients was discussion and not needing any additional information, followed by staff arranging a referral to another healthcare professional. So these supportive care actions that were reported by patients highlighted that the number of referrals generated from supportive care screening isn't indicative as a single measure alone to measure its effectiveness, as the majority of patients still reported overall the support was helpful. As Fitch's tiered model of supportive care tells us in the literature, some patients do only require discussion and information provision, whilst there are a few patients which may need more extensive input. So in conclusion, this project highlighted the value of using an electronic supportive care screening tool. It has provided an innovative local solution and built capacity within the radiotherapy department to reduce unmet needs for people with cancer. By using an equitable and systematic approach, this has empowered and enhanced the experience of people with cancer. Thank you for listening today. You're welcome to get in touch with me if you have any queries.